Hello, Siddhi.
Yes, ma'am.
I think we can start.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, Dhairya.
Hello, everyone.
Thank you. Yeah.
A very good afternoon to one and all present here. I, Siddhi Patil, welcome you all to a much needed webinar on the topic Profile Building on Professional Social Media Accounts. In today's time, social media is vital. Your social media profiles are possibly the first encounter that someone is going to have with you, your brand, your startup, and you would surely want to make an impactful first impression. So, to help you all with profile building, we have with us the real all rounder, Dhairya Gangwani. Welcome, ma'am. She's an EC in electronics and telecommunication engineer turned management consultant and consulting analyst, a public speaker, podcaster, content writer. She has given 150 plus talks, has 49K plus followers on LinkedIn, and the list goes on and on. Really happy to have you, ma'am.
Thank
I
you so
hand
much,
it over
Siddhi,
to you.
for the lovely introduction. And yeah, I want to thank the entire team and Jayashree ma'am and everyone else, all the coordinators who have been so kind enough to firstly have me over and for organizing this entire webinar and session for all of you students so that you can benefit and learn and grow using LinkedIn. And I think I wouldn't take much of your time because Siddhi has already introduced me. And yeah, just before we start the session, I would like the session to be very interactive. So I would request the students to, put in any queries that they have, any doubts they have throughout the session in the chat box. Towards the end, we'll also have a Q&A session. So you can also, in case ma'am can give you the rights, you can either unmute yourself or you can always drop in your questions in the chat box and I would be more than willing to answer all your questions. I would like to start the session on a very interactive note again. I'm going to ask you two very simple questions and I would like you to just answer them so that I can understand where majority of the audience is coming from, right, in terms of their LinkedIn journey. So I have two questions for you. You can use the chat box to answer it. Even the teachers or whoever is attending it can please answer it. The first thing is that, firstly, I want to know, are you an active user of LinkedIn? And by an active user, I'm not just talking about someone who has made a profile and put things and left it. If you actively use it on a day-to-day basis, then please put in a yes. If not, just put in a no. And if you put in a yes, I also want to know that what are you using LinkedIn for currently? Most of the people who are attending, I'm assuming, are either students or your professors. So I would just like to understand that if you use it actively, what are you currently using LinkedIn for, right? So if you could please also reply. Okay, I see some no's. That's okay. Could others also please put in their responses? Are you active on LinkedIn? Yes or no? And if you're active on LinkedIn, what are you using the platform for currently? Okay, I see one yes so far. Ma'am has put that, I think. Okay, no problem. No. Okay. Mm-hmm. The ones who are saying yes, do you mind also? Yeah, like Atharva is saying connecting with industry professionals. Okay, great. Okay, so most of the responses that I've got, I understand that most of you are not active on LinkedIn, and that's completely okay because that is the reason we have kept this session, and I'm here to help you out with understanding why it's important for you to be active on LinkedIn, right? I won't spend any more time. I'm going to be sharing my screen, and we are going to get started with the session. Um, Ma'am, you'll have to give me the presentation rights. I don't have it currently.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dhairya, can you just raise your hands, please?
Yeah, sure. I've just done it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I got the rights. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to start sharing my screen. Please do let me know if it is visible to you.
Yes, yes.
Should be visible now.
Yes, it's visible.
Perfect. Okay. As you all know, we are here for a LinkedIn profile building session. And the first thing, I'm just going to take only 5 minutes of your time to just lay the foundations because it's very important to understand why you should be on LinkedIn and why LinkedIn is an important platform for students and working professionals. So firstly, LinkedIn was introduced in the year 2013, and the founder was Jeff Weiner. It's owned by Microsoft, and LinkedIn came into picture only because of two main reasons. That's it, right? The first one was, I'm sorry, my tripod just, okay. Just give me a minute. I'll just adjust this so that it doesn't, create a problem. Okay. Yes. So LinkedIn was established in the year 2013, and the reason why the founder actually started this platform was two main reasons. If you look at platforms like Instagram, or you look at platforms like Twitter or Snapchat, firstly, Snapchat and Instagram are very heavy on visuals. You'll find people putting reels, videos, images. Hardly anybody puts any textual content, right? If you talk about Twitter, people still put textual content, but it's limited, right? You've got a character limitation on Twitter. You can't go beyond 282 characters or 300 characters, if I'm not wrong. So the founder felt that there is no social media platform which exists for professionals where you can create long form content. So the original form of content on LinkedIn is called long form content, which means long textual posts. And if you log on to LinkedIn and you will see the feed appearing, most of the posts you will see will be long form content, because this is the only professional networking platform where you can create long textual posts. Second thing was, in 2013, that time we didn't have the pandemic. Every time you had to interact with somebody, you had to physically meet with them. We didn't have these online channels of Zoom and Microsoft Teams. It was always there, but we didn't use it so extensively to meet with people. And the founder back then itself thought that there should be some platform where if I want to meet an individual from different parts of the globe, I should be able to connect with professionals all across the globe on an online realm. And that is why he started LinkedIn. Okay. Now, this is just a brief introduction. You can go through it. It's obviously a professional networking platform. If I have to describe to you LinkedIn in 3 simple words, it's a professional networking platform. That's it. And you basically build a professional network there of people, and you obviously showcase your strengths, and at the same time, you can leverage it for different purposes. One thing that I'd like to let you know is that LinkedIn is not a platform to land jobs and internships. Yes, I'll say it again. A lot of people feel that LinkedIn is just like Naukri.com or imjobs.com or any other platform. See, there's a slight difference. The only difference is LinkedIn is a means. It's a platform which can get you a job, which can get you an internship, which can help you build a personal brand or start your freelancing journey, provided you've got an optimized profile and you're creating content on the platform. If you are doing these two things, then yes, it can help you with all the other things, but it's not your typical job seeking platform. Now, 2 words which I would like you to be very aware of before we start the session are connections and followers, right? These jargons are very important on LinkedIn. If on Instagram I want to connect with anybody, I send a follow request, you accept it, I become your follower, and vice versa. It's very similar on LinkedIn, but there's a slight difference. You've got 2 different terms. You have connections also and you have followers also, and both are different. Okay. What I mean by both are different is when you talk about connections, there is a limitation which is put by LinkedIn. The moment I cross 30,000 connections on LinkedIn, I am not allowed to accept any further connections. Okay. So let's say even if after 30,000 connections, you will be able to send me a connection request, but I won't be able to accept it because I've exhausted my connection requests. When you come to followers, there's no limitation. I can have 1 crore followers, I can have 50,000 followers, I can have 1 lakh followers. There is no limitation to the number of followers put by LinkedIn. That's difference number 1. Difference number 2 is the control that you have as a user. When I talk about connections, I have the control and I have the power to select who I want to add to my network, who I want to discard. I can choose to accept a connection request, I can ignore it as well, and I can choose who I want to send a request to. For followers, that's not the case. I have no say in who comes and follows me. Anyone all across the globe can come and follow me, and I have no say in it. Right? That's why most of the times, and ideally, your number of followers should be more than your number of connections. Okay. And that's why you should be very careful when you are connecting with people. You should filter out your connections very, very well. Only add relevant people in your network because you want to build a quality rich network. Another jargon which you should be aware of is first degree, second degree, and third degree connections. This is very important whenever you will connect with people on LinkedIn, and if you're new to the platform, besides the name of the person, you will be able to see first, second, and third. Now, what does that signify? That signifies first degree, second degree, and third degree connection. Now, what's a first degree connection? For example, I send a connection request to Jayashree ma'am and we get connected on LinkedIn. She becomes my first degree connection, right? Now, let's say Siddhi is connected to Jayashree ma'am on LinkedIn, but not me. So Siddhi becomes my second degree connection because she's not connected to me, but she's connected to my connection, right? First degree connection. So she is a second degree connection for me. And let's, for example, take someone named Rahul, who is neither connected to Siddhi, neither connected to Jayashree ma'am. He will become a third degree connection for me because I have no common link between him and me, right? Neither am I connected to him directly, nor is my connections connection or their second degree connection connected to him. So this is a simple term and you have to know this. This is the difference between a first degree, second degree, and a third degree connection. And I think with that, I have covered the basic part of LinkedIn. I'll just take 2 minutes to cover why should you, join the platform of LinkedIn as a student or as a professor or as a working professional, and what are the benefits of nurturing LinkedIn. So the first thing that I'd like to tell you is that the moment you sign up on LinkedIn and you create an optimized profile, for which I will give you an entire walkthrough and demo in the next 2 minutes, what happens is you start becoming more visible on the platform. Once you gain more visibility, the right kind of people start noticing you. And once that happens, then obviously one of the major or the immediate benefits is if you're a student, you can start landing internships using LinkedIn. If you're a working professional, you can also go ahead and start landing jobs. As a professor or as somebody who is working with any institution, you get to network with professors from other colleges. You get to expand your network. You get to get more opportunities in the market. And in general, you get to build a personal brand for yourself, which is very important today, irrespective of what you're doing, right? Other than that, LinkedIn can also help you obviously build a community for yourself. Once you start creating content regularly, people will come and follow you for your content. And once you build that followership, you build a community, you can start monetizing on it also. You could build multiple sources of revenue for yourself. You can start taking workshops. All these invites that I get from colleges, or in fact, everything that I do as an individual, other than my full-time job with KPMG, is linked to LinkedIn completely, right? All of these sessions that I started taking in colleges, individual mentoring sessions, which I take for students via Dharya Decodes, which is my initiative, my talk show that I started, my podcast, all my guests that I invite is all because of my LinkedIn network. Also, the products and services which I have to offer, my entire, I would say, lead generation or customer base comes from LinkedIn. The freelancing work also that I do, I get my clients from LinkedIn, right? So the benefits are immense and multiple. It's up to you how you use the platform. I'll just quickly move on to the next slide. I think there is some lag. Just give me a minute. Okay. So now let's understand, now that we've understood what is LinkedIn, why is it beneficial, how do you get started on LinkedIn? The main, matter. First thing is, if you don't have an account, I saw a lot of people say you're not active on LinkedIn. So I'm assuming even if you have an account, your account would not be optimized. So, and if there are some people who don't have an account, I want this session to be a motivation for you to go back and join the LinkedIn network and make an account for yourself. That is very important, because if you don't have an account, you cannot leverage anything else. The second step is something which is very important. A lot of people skip it between step number 1 and step number 3. I would encourage you to highly go with step number 2. Why it is important is there are people who are thought leaders, influencers, experts, whatever you want to call them on LinkedIn, who have been on the platform for years, okay? And they have made their own share of mistakes. They have built their very strong personal brands in their domain or niche, and you can only learn from them, okay? And skipping this step number 2 will not be beneficial in the long run, because I made this mistake. There was no one to guide me. When I started my journey, I skipped to step number 3 immediately. Why it is important is you're not trying to copy or imitate or emulate somebody. It's just that when you look at people who have already done what you want to do, you can learn from them and your journey can become a little more fast-paced. That's it, right? Because you will observe them, you will see their mistakes, you will see the content they create, you will analyze their profile. All of that will just help you make your journey more smooth. That's it. That's the only reason I put step number 2. Step number 3 is make an all-star profile. I will actually show you what's an all-star profile. Don't worry about that, because that's the most basic thing you need to do on LinkedIn to start getting noticed. But before we go ahead with the demo, one last thing is, remember one thing, that on any social media platform, your first impression, unfortunately, is your last impression. You don't get a chance to make a second impression because people are very busy. People don't have time, and the attention span is very small. No one has the time in the middle of their scrolling to come and sit and view your profile for about 2 to 3 minutes. That's a big achievement if someone is doing it. So, you know, your profile needs to have the capability and the features that within the first 10 to 15 seconds of me coming on your profile, I should be intrigued enough to go ahead and view your entire profile. If you're able to do that, that means you're doing something correct, because most of the people are not able to do that, right? And it doesn't matter whether it's a recruiter, it's a professor of yours from college, a student, a mentor, or any random person on LinkedIn. If I land on your profile, I need to understand 3 things. Who are you? What do you do? And what can you help me with? If these 3 questions are not getting answered for me the moment I skim through your profile in the first 5 to 10 seconds, that means your profile is not speaking for itself. And now we're exactly going to learn how you can make your LinkedIn profile speak for yourself and how you can optimize every section of your profile. So we're going to head over to my profile now. Just give me a moment. There is a bit of a lag, so it will show up very soon. I am already on my LinkedIn profile, but it will show it up very soon. Just give me a minute. Do let me know if my profile is visible to everybody.
Yes, Dhirya.
Yeah, okay. So I think now let's get started with the major part, which is the LinkedIn profile optimization. Now, one thing you need to keep in mind is all the sections of your profile have to be in sync, have to be in coherence for your profile to start getting noticed and getting visible, right? First thing first, on any social media platform, the first thing any individual will notice is your display picture by default, because they will want to associate your name with a face, right? Obviously, who is Dhairya Gangwani or who is Siddhi, they would want to see your picture. So make sure that you have a very professional photograph, step number 1, because this is not Instagram or Snapchat where you can post your landscape or portrait images or a left or a right side profile. You have to put a straight headshot image where you're looking straight into the camera, focuses on your face, and you should preferably be in a professional attire. It could be Western formals, could be Indian formals, but please be in formals, right? Because it's a professional networking platform. Third thing that I want you to keep in mind for the display picture is always have a clear background in your image. So if you look at my image, there is a baby pink or a light pink background. That is not the original background. I had some trees and distractions in my image. What I have done is I went to Canva, which is a user-friendly platform, free to use. It's called Canva, Canva. You can go there. You can go and edit any of your images there, right? So you can put any color of a background, but preferably put a neutral color, not a very dark color, so that it's not very distracting. Or you can go to remove.bg, remove.bg, remove background. So it's called remove.bg. And any picture that you upload, it turns it into a transparent image with a plain blank background. So please do that, because that makes your display picture look more professional, nothing else. So 3 things: have a straight headshot image, be dressed in a professional attire, and have a clear background, which you can achieve via using LinkedIn, Canva, or using remove.bg. Okay, so that covers up the prerequisites for your display picture. Now the next thing is, if you see where my cursor is right now, this space where you see my banner, right? The blue space is called a banner space. Now, by default, LinkedIn gives you a blank space there. Okay, it's a green colored blank space, and most of the individuals don't utilize it, which is a very wrong thing to do, because this is one section which can help you stand apart from the crowd, because not a lot of individuals use it. Now, you will see most of the people who are using it also putting some random images from Google on their banner, or some random quote from Google, or they will put up the logo of their college or their current, or their current organization they are working with. That is what mostly people do in their banner. But the right way to utilize your banner is to make a customized banner. Okay. Now, what is a customized banner? My banner is an example of a customized banner where I have actually edited it and created and customized things for myself. Again, I've used Canva. Canva has got a separate section called LinkedIn banners, You can go there, you will find thousands of templates which are made in the same dimensions in which LinkedIn requires you to upload the banner. So you don't have to do anything. Just choose a template for yourself and start working on it. You can edit, you can add text, you can add images, you can add illustrations, whatever you want to. Now, I'm going to tell you that as a student or as a working professional, what is it that you need to exactly add on your banner? We'll take a simple example. If you look at my banner, I've put keywords like career coach, keynote speaker, 100 plus talks, content creator, etc., etc. Because that is my profile and that is what I do and that is what I want to portray. Similarly, as a student, even if you're a student and you're not working full time anywhere or you don't have subject matter expertise on a topic, that's okay. If you are, let's say, a digital marketing enthusiast and you are very passionate about digital marketing, I would want to see the keywords like digital marketing on your banner. I would like to see keywords like search engine optimization on your banner, or Facebook ads, or social media marketing, business strategy, market research. These are the kind of keywords you will put if you're interested in this domain. Let's take another example. If you're a student who's interested in Android application development, for example, or you're interested in the development side of things, so you will put keywords like Android application development, Java, or web development, whatever you're involved in, these kind of keywords, right? Or you can put web development enthusiast, but the keyword web development should come so that I know what you work on. HTML, CSS, you can use all of the keywords relevant to your profile. If you're a professor who is obviously working for any college or organization, it's important that whatever subject matter expertise you have, I am assuming obviously you would be having an expertise or a hold on certain topics or concepts or subjects that you take up. So the keywords relevant to those subjects should come here. If you're teaching, for example, you teach computer science students and you're teaching a particular subject of object oriented programming, OOPS. So I would require that OOPS keyword to be there, Java to be there, or any other domain you're proficient in, those keywords to be there, right? In short, whatever it is that you want to portray to people and whatever your major skill set is, those keywords need to come here in your banner, just like I have put my keywords, right? Now, in my profile, you can also see some logos of certain colleges and brands. I have put that because I'm a keynote speaker and content creator, so it makes sense. As a student or as a professor, instead is, if you are in the, for example, you teach subjects around let's take let me take an example of data science, for example. Just for example, if you're teaching something in the machine learning or data science domain, when you put the keywords, other than the keywords, you can also add some images relevant to artificial intelligence or machine learning, which can depict just by looking at the images also that you're working in this field. Even as a student, whatever you're passionate about, any image relevant to Android application development or coding or sales, marketing, whatever you're interested in, please put images or illustrations or elements from Canva itself on your banner, so that within the first 5 seconds of me just landing on your banner, just by reading those 5-6 keywords and by looking at the image, I should know, oh, this is what you do, this is your area of interest, and these are your skills, right? So that is when the purpose of the banner is completely met. Also, if you see, I put an image of mine, a separate image of mine. You can always add another image, but make sure that the image is on the right hand side, not on the left hand side, so that it does not interrupt with your display picture, right? So I hope that the purpose of the banner is clear. It should be filled with keywords and with images relevant to your domain and profile. It's as simple as that. You can use Canva to build your customized banner, but make sure you make a customized banner and give some time to it, because it's very important. The next thing that I'm going to talk about here is your headline section. So the section which you see that I have highlighted in blue, it will show up. There is a lag. So it will show up where you can see all the keywords of analyst, resume building, public speaker, podcaster, and content writer, personal branding. That space is called the headline section. This section is the most important section for the search engine optimization part of things. Now, just like Google works on a search engine optimization algorithm, and let's say if I'm looking for some AC repair services near my house, I will type AC repair services near me or AC repair services in whatever the area name is where I'm staying, right? And then Google will show me about some random results, right? And it's obvious that I will go with any one of the first 10 results which are showing up, because that AC repair service would have got good reviews and is more credible and trustable. That's why it's showing in the first 10 results. Same concept applies on LinkedIn. If I go to the search bar on LinkedIn, and let's say I am a startup founder and I'm looking for a digital marketing intern to join my team. Just taking a hypothetical scenario. I will go to the search bar and I will type digital marketer and I'll click on enter. Okay, so I will type digital marketer and I'll click on enter, and there will be a random list which will be shown by LinkedIn to me. On the top, you can see there are filters of people, services, jobs, companies, groups, etc. etc. I will select the filter of people because I'm looking for people who are digital marketers because I want to hire them, right? So I'll click on people. Now, if you see this list, I've got people like Gaurav S. Cherukuri, Harshal Amale, Anju Potnis, and other people, right? Their name is showing up here. It is obvious that as a startup founder, recruiter, or anybody, in fact, on LinkedIn, I would want to connect with any one of these first 10 or 20 people who are showing up here because their profile is very well optimized and they're obviously doing something correct on LinkedIn, and that's why LinkedIn is suggesting me their name, right? It's simple logic. That's why I would prefer any one of these first 20 people. Now, if you observe carefully, in each of their profiles, in their headline section, you can see the word digital marketer. In each and every person's profile, you can see digital marketer in their headline. Now that's obviously there. That's the starting point. If you actually go and view their profile in detail, they would have used the word digital marketer at multiple other places as well, which I will show you to make your profile more optimized. But for sure, the starting point is you should have digital marketer in your headline. Okay. So I'll go back and help you with understanding what kind of keywords you can add. One thing is for sure that your banner keywords and your headline keywords should have some sync for sure. They cannot be separate different keywords and you cannot confuse your audience or seem to be very contradictory. If you look at my banner, I've used career coach, keynote speaker, LinkedIn profile building, coach, resume building. Most of the keywords have been used in my headline section as well. I've used resume building, I've used content writer, personal branding, LinkedIn coach, 150 plus talks. It's all same, right? I have maintained that coherence between my banner and my headline section keywords, which is very important. If I have to tell you in layman terms, you will put the keywords in the headline section for which you want to get searched for. Okay. It's as simple as that. Whatever keywords you want to be searched for, you will put those keywords in the headline section. Again, as a student, if you are someone who is a programming enthusiast, I'd like to see keywords like programmer, whatever language you program in. It could be Java, it could be C, C++. If you're into sales marketing, I would like to see the keywords like sales and marketing, customer acquisition, lead generation, all of those keywords in your headline. One thing, I'll practically show you how this keyword search really works. I'll scroll down and show you my search appearances for that. Okay. So I don't know if it's visible yet, but okay. If you look at this dashboard, on the dashboard on the right hand side, this 2723 that you see, okay, that is the search appearances for my profile in 1 week. Every week this dashboard gets updated. 2723 people have searched for me using keywords. Okay, that is what this signifies in this week. Now when I click on this, it will actually also show me what kind of people are searching for me, which companies do they belong to, and what keywords are they searching for my profile for. Okay, I'll just show that to you. There is a lag. Okay. Okay. Yeah, now it's visible. So here, if you see, it also shows where my searchers work. Which companies do they work for? That is also shown, right? ZS, KPMG, Accenture, Microsoft. These are the places where my searchers are working. What do my searchers do? They are business strategists, they are students, they are software developers, founders, and consultants. Okay. That is also something that I can see. And I can also see the keywords for which I'm getting searched for, which is writer, analyst, business analyst, content writer, and trainer. And these are obviously exactly the words I want to be searched for. If you go through my entire profile, if you check my banner and you check my LinkedIn headline, which I just showed you, obviously business analyst, writer, content writer, these are all words for which I want to be searched for, which will show me from time to time that is my headline keyword research working well or not. And you can keep tweaking it according to what your LinkedIn is showing you, right? There may be times where you want to be searched for marketing analyst, but you are getting searched for, let's say, HR analyst, for example, right? And that is not the thing you want to be searched for. So then you tweak your headline keywords, and then you tweak your profile a little bit, and then you check again next week whether it's working or not. That's the actual significance, and that is why these keywords in your headline section are very important. Okay. So I'm going to quickly go back because we have covered up the headline section now, and we can move on to the next section, which is your featured section. Before I move to the featured section, I would quickly like to cover up the all-star profile, which I was talking about. So if you look at this dashboard, on the top, you can see something which is called as all-star. I'll just highlight that. So here on top above search appearances, you can see a star made and it's written all-star, right? Now, in order for you to achieve an all-star profile, there are some prerequisites that you need to meet, right? You need to complete certain sections of your profile, which is number one, you need to have a display picture, right? Number two, your location should be updated in your basic information. So if you go to this top part where you have to edit your basic information, I'm clicking on the edit option. I'll just show it to you. Your headline should be complete. Okay. Your display picture should be there. So headline should be there, display picture should be there. Next, I would require you to fill in your country, your location, and your industry. These three things should also be updated. Okay. So I'm repeating it again. You should have a display picture. You should have a headline. Your country, your location, and your industry should be updated. Those are some things. Next thing is you need to have an about section, okay, which we'll cover up very soon. This section which you see here of about, this section should be complete. Okay. Only when this about section is complete does your profile stand a chance to become an all-star profile. Okay. So that is also another prerequisite. So this is the about section. Next thing is you need to have at least one experience listed down in your experience section. And last thing is in your skills, you need to have at least 5 skills mentioned. Okay. So I will scroll down to the skill section to show you that you need to have at least 5 skills mentioned. And when all of these conditions are met, then you get an all-star profile there on the top. Okay. I need to have at least 5 skills mentioned. I need to have at least one experience, about section complete, headline complete, display picture, and your industry and your location should be updated. Then you have an all-star profile. What happens if you have an all-star profile? Your ability to get searched by people increases 27 times more. Okay. And that is why it's important to have an all-star profile. It's the most basic thing. And only then will it show all-star here on top on your dashboard. Okay. Only then will you get this all-star mark here. So I hope that everything up till now is clear for everyone. If you have any questions, you can always drop it in the chat box. I will take it up towards the end for sure. So any questions if you have so far, please feel free to drop it in the chat box.
You may also raise your hands and chat box is also available.
Sure. I'm now going to move on to the next section, which is very important again, which is the featured section. Now, the featured section is something which you won't find on a lot of profiles because people don't utilize it correctly. However, it's a very important section. If I click on the plus sign, you will get to know that there are 4 things that I can add in my featured section. Number 1 is posts. Number 2 is articles. Number 3 is links. And number 4 is media. Okay. So I can add posts, articles, links, and media. Now, posts are basically just like on Instagram. If I make an Instagram post, my viewers can see it. It's the same thing on LinkedIn. If I make a post, I can make a only textual post. I can make a text plus an image-based post. I can make a video plus video plus text-based post, anything. And once I post it and let's say it does very well, it gets good number of likes and comments. And if you want to portray it on your profile, you can add it to your featured section. Okay. Second option is articles. So LinkedIn gives you an option to write LinkedIn articles. It's got an inbuilt feature where you can write articles. Okay. And in case you write an article and it, portrays your key skills and it's written very well, you want to, let's say portray that on your profile, you can add it. Next thing is links. When you talk about links, I'm talking about external links. It could be a link to your YouTube channel, could be a link to your Instagram profile, a link to your let's say portfolio, personal website, link to a blog that you write, anything that you want to show from an external resource, or let's say you got interviewed and you have some online press release, any link to that, everything can be added here. Okay. Last thing is media. Now, if you have got any pictures or any documents, which are very important. For example, you got a letter of recommendation from your professor. You can take an image of that, or you can upload that PDF here. If you've done a very good certification, and you can take an image of that and upload that media here, right? Now, as a student, obviously, you'll have to choose what you want to highlight. As a student, it makes sense for you to highlight either your posts or some articles you have written, or if you want to highlight your YouTube channels, your blogs that you write, or any important LORs or certificates. If you look at my featured section, you'll find links mostly. And now, because I'm not a student anymore, I provide services and I want to lay emphasis on the workshops that I take. My first 3 featured posts that you will see are links, right? And even rather first 5 posts. Now, no one has the time to go through all my featured posts, but generally individuals will at least look at the first 3 featured posts. So you have to be very careful about the first 3 featured posts and what you add in them. I have added the link to my LinkedIn workshop that I'm taking with Graphy today. A link to my 3-day LinkedIn workshop that I take. Then there's a link to my individual mentoring sessions, which you can book with me if you're a student or working professional. Then I've put a link to invite me as a keynote speaker in colleges. And then there are different multiple links. If you actually go to my profile and scroll down, the first initial featured post you will see will be actually certificates that I received as a student. Okay. I was a Microsoft student ambassador back in college. I've put that certificate. My certificate that I got from an NGO of Make a Difference when I was volunteering there in college, I've put that. I put LORs which I've received from my professors in college. So you have to put things which are relevant to the phase of life you are in, right? If you're a professor, you're pursuing, let's say, your PhD, or you have some research papers published in your name, you can add the links to those research papers, or you can add a link to any online release or anything if you have your own website, all of that, right? Or any important certification that you've done. If you're a student, as I mentioned, it's going to be more about some blogs that you write, LinkedIn articles, your posts which have done well on LinkedIn, or some certifications or LORs again. So it's totally your choice what you put, but be very careful of the first 3 featured posts that you add, because that is what users will look at when they land on your profile, right? So that completes the featured section. Also, just to let you all know here, this number that you see here, 49,468, this is my number of followers. Okay, so this is separate or this is different, and I'll also show you the connections, right? The connection count will be different from my followers, because as I mentioned, I will obviously choose and handpick who I add to my network as connections, and followers is something anyone can come and follow me. So when you click on my network, on the left hand side, you will be able to see your number of connections. Okay. So let this just load. Yes. So I have about 15,293 connections, but you can see my followers was obviously more. That is because I am choosing who I'm connecting with, whereas followers is something that people are coming and following me for my content, or just for learning from me. Okay. So that was one thing I wanted to show you. And now we can go to the next section. Also, I'll just quickly cover this up. This is your dashboard. This gets updated on a weekly basis. Okay. And all the statistics you see here get updated on a week-to-week basis. On the right-hand side, 2,723 search appearances. Those are the number of people who have searched for me using the keywords, okay, which I just showed you. In the middle, the number of views that you see, that will be the number of views for your most recent post. Whatever post you may have made, I've made a video post, so it says video views. If you make a post, it will show post views, okay, a textual post. So that shows your number of views you have gathered in whatever period of time since when you posted it. And on the extreme left, this 12,929 is the number of people who have viewed my profile in the past 1 week. Just come and viewed my profile, okay? So these statistics get updated on a weekly basis, and you can keep a tab on them to see how you're growing. Now we can talk about the next section, which is the about section, which I spoke about, right? Now, one thing I want you to remember is the about section is like a summary section where you're going to summarize more about yourself, right? So in the headline, which was on the top, right on the top, where you can see the keywords of analyst, resume building and all, which we discussed, you just put keywords and you have 130 character limitation, not words, 130 characters. So even a space, even a comma or punctuation will count there, okay? You have only 130 characters in the headline section, so you have to be very careful about what keywords you put. But in the about section, there is no limitation. You can go all out. You can. This is a place for doing storytelling. You need to tell people a little bit more about yourself. And one golden rule is every keyword that you have used in your headline section needs to be used again in your about section at least once, right? So that your search engine optimization for those keywords increases on the platform. It's as simple as that. If you look at my profile, I have mentioned analyst in my headline, and then I have mentioned that I'm a management consulting analyst in my about section. I've actually explained that keyword. If you look at content writer, also I've actually explained that I did content writing internships. If you look at the keyword of resume building also and LinkedIn profile building, I've gone down and explained that I take individual mentoring sessions on them. So long story short, I have utilized each and every keyword from my headline section once again in my about section and elaborated on it in the about section. If you see, I've used bullet points all throughout so that it's more easy to use and it is skimmable for the users. Don't fill your about section with huge paragraphs of text. No one has the time to go through huge paragraphs of text. Make it as readable as possible so that people can just skim through the sentences and pick up the keywords that they want to and then reach out to you. The next thing I want to emphasize on here is please weave a stories. Talk about your entire life journey, right from the time you started out with your academic degree, what you're currently doing, what skills do you possess, what do you plan to do in the future, what are your areas of interest, and how you can help individuals. Mention that as well if there is any scope. Towards the end, if you see in my about section, I've mentioned that I'm just an email away and you can reach out to me on my email address, right? I've put a call to action, which is very important because you cannot just leave your users after they go through some information about you. You should always generally have a call to action towards the end of your about section where you have to redirect your users to. Okay, your call to action could also be something like, if you are also marketing and sales enthusiast, feel free to follow me on LinkedIn, feel free to DM me, feel free to connect with me, or do follow me on LinkedIn, or you can put a call to action as feel free to reach out to me on my email. Some people are also comfortable with putting their phone number and they put it up. But some call to action should be there. Some people put a link to their website and say, if you're also someone who is a technology enthusiast and loves, building products, check out my website, XYZ, whatever. You can do that as well. It's up to you what call to action you put, but always have a call to action where people can reach out to you, right? So if that is done, I think that's all about your about section. Next thing that we're going to be talking about is your experience section. Now, one thing I want you to keep in mind is if you're a student, in your experience section, only your internships, freelance work, industrial trainings, campus ambassador programs, and part-time jobs or full-time jobs can come. Okay. Any of your volunteering work that you do with clubs, chapters, and societies of the college, or with NGOs and NPOs and charitable organizations will not be considered as an experience. It will come under volunteer experience section, which I will show you very shortly. Okay. So now adding this is very simple. It's not a very major task. But what I want to highlight on is, see, you can always add your title. You can add your employment type, whether it was full-time, part-time, internship, you were a trainee. All of that is very easy. You can do that. But what I want to emphasize on is that, just give me a moment, you can also add your, company name, location, and duration. All of that is simple, but people don't generally add their description. Okay. And that is very, very important because when someone lands on your profile, they don't just want to know about which company you're working for and what is your job role there. They would also definitely want to know how did you contribute to that organization, for sure. Okay. So make sure that you add at least 2 to 3 bullet points, or you add at least one paragraph of information stating that as an intern there, or even as a professor or as a working professional in that organization, what was your role? How are you impacting the organization, and what were your day-to-day responsibilities like? Please talk about them and add it here. You can also add relevant media for every experience. So let's say, for example, you did an internship and you were promoted from a sales and marketing intern to a campus manager, and you got a letter of recommendation for that. So that media relevant to that particular internship experience can be uploaded here. Okay. So for every experience, you can upload a description and you can upload media. I'll actually show you all my experiences other than KPMG are my internships. I'd done about 25 internships during my 4 years of engineering. So whatever you see other than KPMG are my internship experiences. And if you observe, I have carefully explained each and every internship role of mine, how I was contributing to that organization. And you will also find some certificates in as attachments in some of them to make my profile more credible and trustable. So here you can see a certificate of completion that I have added for this experience. I'll just scroll down and show you for other experiences also. I've added at times 2 to 3 attachments also. If I got a LOR and a certificate and my selection certificate, I've added that also. So if you look at this experience, I've added 3 medias to it, okay, because I received it. And even for others, wherever multiple media were relevant, I've added that and added a description for each of my internships. I would highly encourage everyone to do the same so that your profile is complete and it's very well optimized. Okay. So with that, we complete the experience section. The next thing I would like to talk about is your education section. Very simple section. I'll just take about 1 minute. I'm sure all of you can add your college name, your degree, what you're pursuing, your CGPA percentage, and your 10th and 12th grade marks. Everyone can do that. The only thing I want to emphasize on here is all of this you can add your month's field of study. Grade is something which is obviously optional. In case you're comfortable adding it, you can add it. If you want to skip it, you can skip it. But what is very important is your activities and societies. Okay, so as a student or even as a working professional, at some time you would have obviously undergone your undergraduation degree. It's very important to show the extracurricular activities you were involved in. So if you're a part of any club, chapter, society, your cultural fest in college, technical fest in college, or organizing committee, anything, please include all of those as the names and bullet points under activities and societies. Under description, let's say you were a part of the placement committee in your college, okay, or you were the best outgoing student of your batch, or you got some very I would say rewarding award or some recognition which is very unique, then you can add that in the description section, which is relevant to your education. You also have media option where you can add media relevant to your education. So for example, in your 4 years of engineering, if you got an award from your college or again something very prestigious, you can add the relevant media, links, docs, photos relevant to that here. Okay. So that is what you can do. You can follow the same pattern for your 12th and 10th also. And that is how your education section is to be filled. Coming to another very important section, which is licenses and certifications. Now, any of the online courses that you do on platforms like Coursera, Udemy, Skillshare, DataCamp, or any other offline platform also, where you go and you physically take up a course and you get certified, all of those licenses and certifications can be added here. On my profile, you will see some certifications from LinkedIn Learning because I have a premium account, so I have access to LinkedIn Learning courses. I think some of them are also available free of cost, so you can also explore them and do them. They've got some short mini courses which are very beneficial in all the fields. Okay. You will also find some courses that I've done from Google, some courses from Coursera, some courses from Cisco, and different courses I've done even in the management consulting field from Bright Consulting and other places. Now, in this section, what I want to emphasize on is, I'm going to go to the edit option and show it to you. See, adding the name of your certification, the issuing organization, the issuing month, year, and all, again, very simple. All of you can do that. But the credential ID and the credential URL fields is something which most of the people don't fill up. Now, this is something which most of the edtech platforms are giving you today so that you can portray or display your certification on LinkedIn. That's the only purpose of giving this credential ID and URL. And platforms like Udemy, Coursera are 100% giving it to you. even platforms like Forage or Bright Consulting, they give you an ID and URL. Once you add this ID and URL and you save it, what happens is when I click on this field called See Credential, as a third party user or someone landing on your profile, I get the option to actually go and view your profile, to go and view your certificate, which increases the credibility or trust in your profile. So if I click on See Credential, it will redirect you to my certificate that I got from Bright Consulting, and you can actually view it. Okay, so let it just load. I'll just show it to you. So yes, this is the certificate which I've received from Bright Consulting, and you can see it here. You will see when I completed the course, you can see the credential ID is also mentioned at the bottom of the certificate. It is just to build trust, right? And for any recruiter or anybody landing on your profile, if they can see your work, they will only be able to vouch more for your work and skills, right? And that's the reason it's important to add a credential ID and URL if it has been provided to you by the organization. If you don't have it, it's completely okay. Just add the name of the organization that gave you the certification and the name of the certification. It's okay. So with that, we complete licenses and certifications. The next section is the volunteer experience section, which I spoke about. Now, this is the section where any clubs, chapters, society activities, any volunteering work with any NGOs, NPOs needs to be added here. Okay. So as I told you, Make a Difference was an NGO I was volunteering for in college. I put that here. I was a core committee member with Toastmasters International. That is here. If I was a part of the sales team of my cultural fest, I've added that here. All of those things, volunteering things are here. I've also put the NGO experiences, and since I am a keynote speaker now, I've added a few of the colleges I've spoken at, but then I found that it will become very redundant because I've spoken at a lot of colleges, so I've just added a few college guest speaker experiences as a volunteer. So yeah, this is how you can utilize the section. You can add a description also for each and every volunteering experience of yours as well to describe what you did there. And you can add a duration and the organization and your role there, right? So that is how you will fill up your volunteer experience section. Okay. The next thing that we are going to be talking about is a very important section, which is your skills and your endorsements. Now, if you remember, I had told you that we have to put some keywords in the banner in the headline section, and then those same keywords have to be used in your about section, right? For the LinkedIn profile optimization part. Now, typically or ideally, any one of these keywords, the top 3 keywords which you feel are your top 3 skills should be taken up from your headline or from your banner and should be used as your top 3 skills here. Okay, your skills, your headline, about section, and banner should be in coherence or sync, right? I should find some harmony between everything in all of these sections, right? So if you see, I've put public speaking, interpersonal skills, and management consulting as my top 3 skills. And if you go through the descriptions of my experiences, or you go to my headline, about section, banner, somewhere or the other, you'll find these 3 keywords being used multiple times, right? And that is what I want to portray as my top 3 skills. So I would highly encourage you also to be very sure of what top 3 skills you put. LinkedIn gives you up to 50 skills that you can add, but again, no one has the time to go through them. So just make sure that your top 3 skills are very proper and you're confident about your expertise in those top 3 skills. Now, adding the skills is fine. You can click on add a new skill and you can rearrange the order of your skills also, and you can add different skills. That's fine. But the most important thing is you need to find people who can endorse you for your skills. Now, who are these individuals who can endorse you for your skills? They are your colleagues from college, your friends, members you have made projects with. They can be your managers from your previous internships, your professors, who you have a good rapport with. All of these people can come and endorse you for your skills. Okay. It's very simple. If you see that it says that I've been endorsed by Jasmeet Singh and 6 others who are highly skilled at this, and I've been endorsed by 4 other colleagues at KPMG. What this just shows is that when someone who's highly skilled at a particular skill comes and endorses you, it increases the value of your profile. And that is exactly what this does. It increases the third party trust basically, because I can say I'm good at public speaking, but what do others have to say about my public speaking skills? That is displayed by my endorsements. And the moment you get 99 plus endorsements, this number here just becomes 99 plus. Okay. And it just shows that you have a very credible profile. So please go out there. Don't be shy. The only prerequisite is that person needs to be on LinkedIn and they should have worked with you so that they can vouch for your skills. And please go ahead and ask people to endorse you for your skills, your juniors, your seniors, your professors, your managers, anybody. So with that, we complete the skill section. The second last section I want to cover is recommendations. Just like you have letters of recommendations when you're applying for a master's or an MBA abroad and you get them from your professors or managers, similarly, you have recommendations here on LinkedIn. Okay. Again, it's just to build more trust and to make your profile more, credible and attractive to the audience. If you click on ask for recommendation, you will be asked to enter the name of the person you want a recommendation from. Okay. So I'm just going to type a random name for now. And they should be a connection. You should connect with them ideally. Then it will ask you to select your relationship with them. So you'll get a drop down of various options, whether you manage them directly, they managed you directly, you worked in the same group or in different groups, or were you a client of theirs or were they a client of yours. You'll get different options and you have to choose the correct relationship that applies to you. You'll also have to choose your position at that time. Now this will get populated from your experience section. Whatever you would have added in your experience section will get populated here. So please choose that wherever you're working at that moment when you're asking this person for this recommendation. Okay. And then you have to just click on next. As soon as you'll click on next, this individual will receive a message on their direct messaging tab on LinkedIn saying that you have asked them for a recommendation and a link will be sent to them. Once that individual clicks on the link and writes you their recommendation, you will be able to make it visible on your profile. Okay. Okay. So here, if you see, I have made these recommendations visible. So you're able to see these recommendations on my profile. 38 people have recommended me and I've given recommendations to 19 people, right? So these recommendations are from my clients, are from my colleagues at KPMG, are from my juniors also who take my services, my mentees. And if you go right to the bottom, since there are too many, you can always check it later. I have also got recommendations from my professors, right? So you can add those as well. The only prerequisite is, again, they don't have to always be elder to you. Someone junior to you can also write you a recommendation. The only prerequisite is they should have worked with you and they should be able to vouch for your skills. And that's how you increase the credibility of your profile. Recommendations are very important. The last section that I'd like to cover is accomplishment section. So you can actually click on add section and you can go to all the sections, by the way, that we've covered so far can be added from add section. You click on add section and you'll get the shortcut to adding everything on all of these sections. Okay. So if you click on accomplishments here, you can see that you have an option of adding publications. So I don't have any publications because I don't have any research paper that I've published. If you have published any research papers, you can add your publications here. Next option that you have is of patents. If you have any patents which are, present under your name, you can add those patents here. Next thing is courses. Now this is a tab that you can skip because here I added this in my second year. It's not really needed. Courses you can skip because courses are basically the course that you do as a part of your undergraduate degree. All the subjects that you study, and trust me, no one wants to know that. You can completely skip it. The next section, which is important, is actually your project section. Now, as students, I'm sure you will work on some projects individually or with a team in your undergraduate degree. So make sure you add those projects here. Please add a title for your project, right? Add a start date and an end date. You also have an option to add a creator. So creator is somebody who would have worked with you on that project. So could be a contributor who has worked with you on that project. So please add their name also if they are on LinkedIn. And then you can select, also which role was this project associated with. You can also add a project URL in case there is some URL where you have shown some demo or something related to the project. And you can add a description also. So I would highly encourage you to add a description for all your projects because it's very important for the audience and for recruiters to know what was the aim of the project, what technology you worked on, and why did you build this project. So make sure that your description section has got a brief summary about what you did in this project. Okay. For my first project, for some reason, I don't know how it's not there. Might have been deleted in one of these sessions that I was taking. But I'll show you this description. If you can see, that's the kind of description you need to add for any project that you have developed. Okay. The next section is languages within accomplishments. If you know any foreign language or you know any local language also that you would like to highlight, you can please put it up here. It shows your diversity as an individual. Also put your proficiency level in that language. It will boost your profile. Organizations is a repetitive section. You can skip it if you want to, because you would have added the names of the organizations you have worked with in your experience section. But in case you want to emphasize on the names of the organizations, again, you can add it. Next section is honors and awards. Any honor or award you have received from your college or from some external source, any competition you took part in and you got awarded with the first prize or anything else, all of that can be added here in your honors and awards. Okay, and you can add a description to the honor and award also to explain why you were given this honor, etc. If you click on add section and you go to accomplishments, you also have another section which is called test scores, right? This is test scores. I don't have it because I haven't given any examination such as the GMAT exam, CAT exam, TOEFL, IELTS, any other examination which you give. You can add your test scores here. Okay. And with that, we have completed all the sections that you need to optimize in your LinkedIn profile to make it more attractive and visible. Just one last thing I want to cover up is LinkedIn has introduced a new feature about 2 months ago, which is called the cover story. And I would like for all of you to utilize it to the fullest. So other than the static display picture which you see on LinkedIn, if you use, I think, the desktop version or even if you use the mobile version, you have to click on your display picture. Okay. Once you click on your display picture, you'll get an option of view or edit cover story. Click on that and you should be able to upload a short 30-second video resume of sorts explaining your, talking a bit about yourself, what you do and how you can help people. So if you see, I'm just going to show you my cover story. You won't be able to hear it. You can always go to my profile and view the video with the audio itself. Because I'm presenting my screen, you can't hear the audio. But that is my video cover story, which I've added. And I would encourage all of you also to add it. If you're not camera shy, it will just take you a 30-second video so that it's more interactive, so that people, when they land on their profile, other than your banner and headline, also if they want to know more about you, they can always view your cover story. And with that, we come to an end of the LinkedIn profile optimization part. I've got a bit of the personal branding part and profile building a little bit left. But before that, I think if there are any questions so far, we can take them because I think I have spoken for quite a while. If there are some questions, we can have a short break for taking up your questions now, and then I'll move to the personal branding part. So I'll just come over to the team screen so that I'm able to see the chat. Just give me a moment. Okay, if you want to also unmute yourself, ma'am, can they unmute themselves?
I'll unmute them if they raise their hands, or maybe, okay, I'll just turn on their, just a minute.
Sure, ma'am.
Yeah. Now people can turn on their mics. If you have any questions, please ask.
Yeah.
Probably they have no questions.
Okay. I think someone. Okay. Is there any question that you would want to ask me related to whatever I've covered so far? Any doubts? Do let me know. What I'll also do is, in case you have any other questions also, even after the session, you can always reach out to me on LinkedIn. I have shared the link to my LinkedIn profile. One good practice that I would like to also mention here is whenever you are sending a connection request to anybody on LinkedIn, don't directly connect with them by clicking on the connect option. Please go to personalized invite and write a personalized note for them. So let's say you want to connect with me, you'll get an option of directly connecting, or you'll also get an option of writing a personalized note where you can add up to 300 characters. Okay, so make sure you tell me that you
Isn't
attended.
it a paid feature, Dhairya?
No, it's not. It's not a paid feature. No,
Okay.
everyone has access to it. And you can actually tell me that, please do tell me that you attended the session which I organized with PICT and the LinkedIn profile building session, and hence you want to connect with me. Then my chances of accepting your connection request would also increase, because I generally don't tend to accept invites without a personalized invite. And that's the best practice you should follow, even to reach out to recruiters, right? When you're looking for jobs, or you're looking for referrals, or you're looking for an internship, never just directly hit the connect button, because they get so many connection requests in a day. To stand out from the crowd, you need to have some personalized invite. Okay. And moreover, what you should also do is, whenever you're reaching out to recruiters for internships or for jobs or any inquiry, don't ever in the first message itself tell them that I'm looking for a job, give me a job, or give me an internship. That's the last way in which you will be able to land a job. I can guarantee you that. The only way you can land an internship or a job using LinkedIn is, first, scrutinize the profile of the person you're reaching out to very well, do your research very well, understand their profile, what they have done, find something common between the two of you. Why I'm telling you to do this is because you need to strike a conversation. You can't just talk about the job directly. Your personalized invite should have just one line about you, a one-liner introduction about you. The remaining characters which you have should be about them. Talk about them, their accomplishments, what you like in their profile, something common that you find between the two of you. Talk about that and strike a conversation. That way they would want to accept your request. Once they accept your request, now it is time that you talk about yourself. So talk a little bit about yourself, your skills, how you have contributed to, previous organizations, what kind of internships you have done, what are you passionate about, and then ultimately after they reply to that, also talk about opening or an internship opportunity that you saw somewhere on some platform or with their firm, and why do you think you deserve to be selected for it, or what unique what is the unique feature that you would bring to the table as an individual, and why they should hire you, right? People don't mention that. It's very important that you let the recruiters know that if you hire me, this is how I can help your organization, rather than saying hire me and I need a job, right? Make yourself an asset rather than acting like someone who desperately needs a job or internship. So you have to make yourself an asset and present that in the message, right? So that's the right way that you reach out to recruiters also on LinkedIn, and that's how you can land internships. I, in fact, landed 5 internships of LinkedIn just by simply following this. I used to reach out to the startup founders and HRs and talent acquisition managers of companies or startups that I wanted to work with. And yes, at times they wouldn't reply. There's nothing to, shy away from. Not everyone will accept your request. Not everyone will reply to you, but you have to keep trying. The more you try, when I used to send about 25 or 30 connection requests in a day and personalized invites, I used to get at least 3 to 4 replies. And then I ultimately landed with 5 internships, which is a good thing. So all I will say is, you don't have to give up, and you have to approach people with the right intent and in the right manner. Then they will reply to you for sure. So that is also one tip for all the students. If you're looking out for internships and jobs and you want to utilize the platform of LinkedIn, after you have optimized your profile, which I just covered, then this is the right way to approach people. Does anybody have any other questions, or should I move on to the personal branding aspect? Okay. Ma'am, should I proceed with the personal branding part?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Okay, sure. I'll just start sharing my screen again. Okay. So we'll move on to the personal branding part. I would require you to use your chat box very, very quickly. I've got a small question for all of you, just to understand again, do you truly understand the essence of personal branding, right? So I have a question for you, which is, what is a personal brand according to you? You can just put in some keywords or a one-liner answer in the chat box, please. But I would love to understand from all of you what, according to you, is a personal brand. Whatever you know about it. And if you don't know about it, it's completely okay. But whatever comes to your mind when you listen to the term personal brand, I want you to type it down in the chat box, please. Just quickly go back and check your responses. So I've just asked you a very simple question. I would like you to describe, what is personal branding? Ma'am has written as a skill or attribute for which you are known, which is correct. Influencers is what Siddhi writes. Does anybody else get any other word in their mind when they listen to the term personal brand? To create a social image is what Suya says. Great. Skill set. Okay. Perfect. Anybody else who would like to add any other keywords? I'll wait for maybe 1 or 2 more responses and then we'll proceed. Confidence is what Swapnil says. Okay. Anything else, guys, that you think personal branding is rooted down to, or what personal branding signifies or stands for really? Okay, no worries. I think we've got some responses. Thank you for everyone who is promoting yourself, right? Thanks for those responses. So we're quickly going to go back to my slides. So I'll tell you, there is a very famous quote by Jeff Bezos, which is one of my favorite personal branding quotes, because according to me, that is the exact definition of a personal brand. Okay. So he said that a personal brand is what people say about you when you leave the room, right? So I'll give you a very practical example of this. Right now, we are in a Microsoft Teams meeting where I'm taking a session on personal branding and LinkedIn profile building. It's very obvious that if anybody mentions this, you would think of me, right? Because I'm taking the session right now. But let's say 2 months, 3 months, 5 months down the line, you're just having a random discussion with a friend of yours or with a professor of yours, and the term LinkedIn profile building, or you just randomly start talking about LinkedIn or personal branding. And while you do that, if you remember me in your head subconsciously, or my name pops up or my face pops up in your subconscious mind, that means that I have done my personal branding well, or I have created a personal brand for myself in that niche. Let's take another example. When you talk about people like Ranveer Alabadia, you talk about people like Jay Shetty, you talk about people like Oprah Winfrey, Michelle Obama, Ratan Tata, Indira Nui. All of these are exemplary thought leaders in their own field. They have created a personal brand for themselves in their own respective niche or domain, right? The moment I talk about fitness and motivation, you remember Beer Biceps, which is Ranveer Alabadia's channel, right? And that is what the handle he is known by the name of. The moment I will mention someone who can help you with navigating through your life in your early 20s, you'll remember Ankur Wariku, because that is what he advises you with. The moment I'll talk about some female CEOs or women CEOs who have done very well in the corporate world, Indra Nui, Kiran Majumdar Shaw, or Chanda Kochar, these are the names that will come to your mind because they've created a strong personal brand for themselves. Or let's take an example of edtech startups. The moment I'll say edtech startups, I'm sure that Unacademy, Byju's, Vedantu, these were the names which came to your mind because of the advertisements and because of the brand recall that they've created in your mind. The moment I say a particular word, their image, their logo or something flashes in your head, right? That is what a personal brand is in simple terms. And if you talk about the core definition, your personal brand is you. It's you, your image, your mission, your values, and your vision, right? Just like every company, every organization on their website, if you go, or even every college has got their own vision, their mission, their own values, and their image to maintain. You also, as an individual, have your own image, your mission, your values, and your vision, which you have in life, right? And the moment you start sharing that with a larger audience, you're creating a personal brand for yourself. The moment I start telling people, hey, this is what I can help you with, I've started creating, or I've started my journey of personal branding. If 1 year ago from today, I did not start creating content on LinkedIn and I did not scream it out loud in the form of my videos every single day that, hey, I'm a career coach, I can help students and working professionals with resume building, with LinkedIn profile building or interview preparation. Today, I would not have been taking such workshops, or today I would not have the audience that I have. I did that and I showed up every single day for my niche, right, in my domain. And that's why now I've been able to build a personal brand for myself in this space. And that's exactly what you need to do. You need to identify what is it that you want to be known for, what is it that you're passionate about, and what is it that you'd like to be talking about on a day-to-day basis, and then create a personal brand for yourself in that field. I've got a very small mini activity which will take you maybe about just 2 minutes. I would like the students especially to participate in it. I will actually copy paste that link here. It is actually to understand, when I'll see your responses, I'll tell you why I asked you to, take up this activity, because I want to understand what kind of a brand recall have these particular brands which I've mentioned been able to create in your brain. And then I want to relate it to personal branding for you. So I'll just copy paste this link and put it in the chat box quickly. Just give me a moment. There is some problem with my mouse, so just give me a minute. Okay, it's done. I'll just paste it in the chat box. So for everybody, I have pasted the link to the activity in the chat box. Please quickly just click on the link and start sharing your responses. I will receive the responses in real time, and I'll share my screen and also show it to you. Okay, just give me a moment. I hope that all of you have started putting in your responses. Please do quickly do that. Let me check if we have started receiving any further responses. I think it was okay. If the number of responses is increasing here, that means then we have. So how many of you have filled it? Can you just drop in a thumbs up if you have filled the form already? Do let me know if you have filled up the form, guys.
And we are filling it.
Okay, no problem. I don't see the responses increasing, so probably you're taking some time, no worries. Domino's, BMW, Amul. If you could just fill it up quickly, guys. Okay, I do see the responses are increasing now. So let me quickly check out just a few of them, because just by looking at even 5 to 6 responses, I'll be able to tell you why I told you to do this activity. Okay, Domino's, Jaguar, and Baskin Robbins. Okay. Let's see another response. I want to see if you have mentioned any non-typical name actually. So I don't know why for pizza you've written KFC, because it's shocking. I was not expecting this reply, but when you talk about pizza, I don't know why you thought of KFC, but it's okay. Most of the responses that I'm expecting in the pizza category are Domino's or Pizza Hut, right? Let me just see this. Arun ice cream is also something which someone has put. Okay. Naturals, BMW, Domino's. I expected. See, what I'm trying to show you here is, if you see the pizza category, there is barely any other pizza chain which anyone has mentioned. I can only see Pizza Hut and Domino's as the predominant players in that answer, right? That's because they have just dominated the market. You don't think of anything else when you think of pizzas. In cars also, most of the responses are BMW, Audi, Rolls-Royce. These are the things. In ice cream, I can see Amul, Baskin Robbins. Those were most of the responses that I've seen. There is Naturals. Also, some people, very few people have put Naturals. There's also a chain called Have More. Very few people have put that because for some reason, either through their advertisements or through poor marketing, they haven't been able to capture that brand recall like these brands are, right? Like you see again, Rolls-Royce, Naturals, Domino's. So I'm either seeing Naturals and Baskin Robbins in the ice creams. I see Domino's or Pizza Hut in the pizza thing. And in the cars, I'm seeing mostly BMW, Audi, or Rolls-Royce, right? Although you've got things like I would say luxury car brands, even like Range Rover or Porsche, etc. Some people would have put it, but very few people have put it. So I hope that you enjoyed this mini activity. I also wanted to just give a break wherein I am only speaking. So it was just to help you understand that that's the kind of strong branding that these brands have been able to do, and that's at the same level an individual can also achieve it. Okay. So now we can continue, and I would like to help you understand the importance of personal branding and how you can build a personal brand for yourself. So the importance of personal branding, number one, it helps you build trust and credibility. The moment you start building a personal brand, people start trusting you for that particular niche or domain or for whatever that you have to provide, right? So you build a very trustable and a credible name for yourself in the market. Second thing, it helps you network with the right people. When you're on your journey of personal branding, because of personally branding yourself, you will have to indulge in networking. You'll have to network with people, and because of that, you'll be able to expand your network and meet the right kind of people, right? And your network is your net worth today. So it's important that you actually network with the right kind of people. It helps you stand out from the crowd. Now, how it helps you do that is because 99% of the people shy away from personal branding because they think personal branding is equivalent to showing off, right? And that's why most of the people don't do it, because they don't understand there's a very fine difference between personal branding and showing off. If I don't tell you what I can bring to the table and what I can offer you, no one else is going to come and do it for me, right? Shah Rukh Khan won't come and personally brand Dhairya Gangwani. I have to do it for myself. So it's as simple as that. And that's why it's called a personal brand. So you shouldn't shy away from letting people know that this is what I bring to the table and this is what I can help you with. That is all that personal branding is. And if you do that, you stand out from the crowd because very few people are doing it. It assists you by opening doors to a multitude of opportunities. Once you start building a personal brand, opportunities in different forms will come your way. Like I told you, it could be a freelancing opportunity, it could be a speaking opportunity, it could be an opportunity to feature in a talk show, it could be an opportunity of starting your own podcast, it could be an opportunity of landing an internship, could be anything. It will come disguised in different forms depending on wherever you are in your journey, right? It also helps you discover your niche. Now, a lot of people will tell you that you have to first discover your niche to build a personal brand. I say it's the other way around. I say first start building a personal brand in a generic way, and then slowly and steadily, by the response you will get from your audience and how you will grow in the journey, you will ultimately come to your niche. When I started out, I didn't know that I will create content specifically for interview preparation, for personal branding, for profile building, etc. But slowly and steadily, my audience showed that they needed guidance in that field, and I had that knowledge which I could impart. And then I realized, okay, this is my niche and this is my domain, right? So I discovered it via personal branding. So you can discover your niche using personal branding. Now, how do you really build a personal brand? These are the 9 steps to building a personal brand. First one is that you discover your unique selling point or your unique selling proposition. Every individual has something unique that they bring to the table, something that they're genuinely passionate about, for which they don't need any external motivation or influence, and you can just do it yourself. It comes to you naturally. That is your unique selling point or unique selling proposition. You have to sit down, retrospect, and understand what is your USP. Second thing, what do you want to be known for? And this is different from point number 1, right? For example, my unique selling point, I believe, is my communication skills and my ability to understand individuals' problems, right? That is my unique selling point. But what do I want to be known for? I want to be known for my mentoring sessions. I want to be known for the workshops I take, and I want to be known as a career coach. And if you see, the answer to both the questions is different. So please identify these 2 things for yourself. What is it that you want to be known for, and what is your unique selling point? Third thing is you need to define your TG, which is your target group or target audience. So for me, I'm a career coach. For me, my target group is students and working professionals, right? Who want to navigate through their career and who are looking for career growth and professional development. For you, let's say you start creating content in the marketing field as a student, right? So fellow marketeers or startup founders who have marketing agencies or anybody working in the marketing role in the corporate industry will become your target audience. As simple as that. If you are a professor in a college, fellow professors in other colleges, principals, or it could be even students will be your target audience, right? So that is how you will identify your target audience. Next, research about and discover experts in your domain. I've already emphasized on this, even in the LinkedIn profile building part. Always research about experts who are already doing well and have built a personal brand for themselves so that you can learn from them. Next is to listen to podcasts, read blogs, and watch interviews. The reason why I've put this point is it has personally helped me. When I listen to these inspirational individuals like the names that I took, Oprah Winfrey or Ratan Tata or Michelle Obama, I don't again mean to copy them, but what happens is because of the strong personal brand that they've created, I get to learn a lot from them and my vision becomes more clear with respect to what kind of a personal brand do I want to create. That is how it helped me in my journey, and that's why I've put up that point. It might help you as well. Next is network with people and build a community, right? LinkedIn is not just about connecting with people for the sake of it and for increasing your followers and connections. You have to build meaningful, deep rooted connections and you have to build a community for yourself, right? And that is very important because that community will stick by you through thick and thin, right? On social media. Build a rock solid LinkedIn profile, which we covered in the first half of the session. So I'm sure all of you can build a rock solid LinkedIn profile for yourself. Ask for testimonials and recommendations. This is very important to build more trust and credibility. Like I told you, for people to believe in you, to believe in your work, and to be having that confidence that yes, this person can actually help me with the skills she or he is saying they can help me with. They would want to see third-party reviews and testimonials. So please collect them. And the last step or the nail in the coffin in your journey of personal branding is having your own personal website. Okay. Now, the stage at which you have this website is a very personal choice, but just keep two things in mind. Whenever you think of having your own personal website, make sure and ask yourself this, that do you have enough things to show on your website? Because a website is typically at least, 2 to 3 landing pages minimum, where you display everything that you have achieved so far, right? And it's a digital footprint which will stay on the internet forever. So do you have enough things to portray and have you accomplished enough? Are you at that stage? Second thing is, what is your purpose of launching your website? Do you want to provide some services? Do you just want a portfolio to show to your clients because you want to do freelancing? Or is it just that you want one place and you want to build on your digital footprint? Know your why of launching your personal website. I launched my personal website of www.dhairyadecodes.com last year on 5th of September 2020, completed almost a year. The reason I started it was I realized that, okay, I had enough things firstly to portray and I had enough accomplishments to put up or for people to reach out to me. Next thing is I wanted to start offering services professionally, right, to students and working professionals. And that is why I had launched my website where people can come and book individual mentoring sessions with me. And that's how I started taking workshops. So your purpose, your reason could be very different from mine, but be very clear for your reason of building your personal website, because that is the ultimate step to your personal branding journey. And I think with that, that is all that I had to cover for personal branding and profile optimization. If you have any other questions for me, please feel free to ask them now.
Yes, students and teachers, you can unmute yourself and ask questions if you have any.
I'm assuming either I've done a very good job that you don't have any questions, or you have not understood anything that I've said. That's why there are no questions. So it can only be either of the two situations. Please do let me know if anything was unclear or you have any other queries. Okay.
Something to say?
Yes.
First of all, it was actually you have done a very good job because most of the insights you gave, it really cleared some things for me. I have one question which I'd like you to answer because you have been in many situations where we have faced it. When I'm pitching about myself, there's a fine line between being reasonable and being overconfident. Like if I'm saying that I'm good at something, I just wanted to know what what advices would you give to me when I'll be pitching about myself? Like what things I should avoid or what I should focus on?
See, I think when you're introducing yourself or giving a pitch to somebody or letting people know about you, just emphasize more on how you have been able to create an impact in general, more than when you even talk about your impact in a project, in a group project, you have to give importance to the team members. At the same time, you have to show that how you led the team or how you were an important part of this project. So the point is here, you have to show the impact you created in a particular organization or in your journey so far, because that impact does not look like something like where you're overconfident or you're boasting about yourself, right? Rather than talking about it should be more about how you contributed to that organization, right? So I would like to know obviously a bit about your educational background and what you currently do. Then you can move on to talking a bit more about your primary skills that you have built on in the couple of years and how you build them. I would like to know that. And then I would like to know a little more about what are you really passionate about and what do you want to do in the future, and how have you contributed to your previous organizations. It could be even in your college if you have achieved some accomplishment, or it could be an internship. Those are the things you should highlight on or talk about.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Question what that was. Dhairya, could you differentiate between promoting individual and promoting a page that belongs to an organization?
Yeah. One major difference is that on LinkedIn, an individual has a profile and a company page has a company page. So a LinkedIn company page, even when you look at the UI or UX or the design, is very different. The way it will look also when you land on my profile or Jayashree ma'am's profile, that's a LinkedIn profile of an individual. It will look very different. A LinkedIn company page, or you can go and check out, let's say, Dhairya Decodes page or your college LinkedIn company page. There, the major difference is that you cannot, really, what happens there is you have to add more information about the organization. So you'll have a about section, a people section, a job section. In the about section, you have to give a brief summary about your organization or about the LinkedIn or about your company page. What does the company stand for, their mission, their vision, when it started. You have to put the establishment year, you have to put a link to the website of the company, etc. You don't do all of that in the same fields in a LinkedIn profile. Like I will have to go to the contact information and put my website and all. But when I'm building a company page, it's going to be one of the compulsory fields that I have to add. Okay. Also, on a company page, you will obviously talk more about the organization. The post that you will make will be in order to promote the company, right? Or the institution. You won't be talking about yourself as an individual. You'll be talking more about what the institution or the organization has to offer. You'll also have to add a phone number and the location of your company. You also get the option to invite up to 100 members for free, right? You don't get that option on LinkedIn, on a normal LinkedIn profile. So a LinkedIn company page offers you 100 connection requests, which you can send to people yourself in the beginning. So your first 100 followers are fixed. Okay, you will have 100 followers at least. So you get that option on your LinkedIn company page. And other than that, on a LinkedIn company page, you also have to set 3 hashtags for that company page. You don't have to do that on a LinkedIn profile. 3 hashtags which are relevant to your company, you will have to select that. So those are some major differences in a LinkedIn company page. And you can also update some job postings on your LinkedIn company page. If you're hiring for some role, all of that can be added. You can't do that on a personal profile.
Okay, yeah. Thank you so much.